Story time with Mr. Beat.
What it is. My name is Mr. Beat. For thousands of years, millions of human beings lived on the North American continent. We call these human beings Native Americans because they were there first. But after this dude named Christopher Columbus became the first famous European to stumble upon the giant continent, a flood of European explorers came for riches, glory, conquest, and even to spread their religion. Here is the story of the American explorers.
Once upon a time, for thousands of years, the human beings on two continents, Europe and North America, just ignored each other. Then, in the late 980s, a group known as the Norsemen, more famously known as the Vikings, left Iceland, heading west. Led by Eric the Red, who had been banished from Iceland for murder, they eventually came across the island of Greenland and settled there. Later, Eric had a son named Leif Erikson. Get it? Eric, son, who grew up to head even further west, leading a ship to what is today known as Labrador, Baffin Island, and Newfoundland. Thus, Erikson became the first known European to explore North America. Almost 500 years later, Christopher Columbus became the next European to explore the Americas. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Sorry about that. Anyway, after 10 weeks at sea, Columbus reached what is now known as the Bahamas. He named the place they landed San Salvador. Thinking he had reached Asia, he kept going until he reached modern-day Cuba, which he assumed was China. When Columbus returned to Spain the next year, he had products with him totally unknown to Europe like coconuts, tobacco, and potatoes. He also had stories of darker-skinned native peoples he encountered, whom he called Indians, because he thought he was sailing in the Indian Ocean. Columbus later made 3 more trips to America between 1494 and 1502, exploring modern-day Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Jamaica, and Trinidad. After all this, he still was convinced he was exploring Asia. Others weren't so convinced. Spain and Portugal sent many other ships to explore this, quote, new world in those early years, and on one of the ships sent by Portugal was a dude named Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian who was not convinced they were exploring Asia. After his trip viewing modern-day Brazil, he was sure this land was part of a new continent. Vespucci spread the word about the new continent, convincing people he was right and Columbus was wrong. In 1507, the German cartographer Martin Waldseemüller made a world map in which he named the new continent America, after the Latin feminine version of Vespucci's first name, which is Americus. Meanwhile, it became clear there were 2 Americas, meaning a North America and a South America, after Spanish explorers went exploring like crazy up north. In 1513, Juan Ponce de Leon went searching for the Fountain of Youth and ended up finding and naming Florida. By the way, he never found a Fountain of Youth. That same year, Vasco Núñez de Balboa made it through the Isthmus of Panama to be the first European to reach the eastern coast of the Pacific Ocean. In 1519, the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan and his crew sailed around the bottom tip of South America, across the Pacific Ocean to the Philippines, where Magellan was killed in the Battle of Mactan. But his crew kept on going afterwards, with Juan Sebastian Elcano now leading, sailing around the southern tip of Africa and returning to Europe in 1522, becoming the first expedition to circumnavigate the entire planet. In the 1500s, Spain became the richest country in the world because of its explorers who were also conquistadors. The same year Magellan's crew sailed out from Spain, Hernando Cortés and his army conquered the Aztec Empire of modern-day Mexico. By 1521, Cortés had taken control of all of the Aztecs' gold and silver mines. In 1531, Francisco Pizarro and his expedition took out the Inca Empire of Peru, gaining access to the Inca silver mines of Potosí. So yeah, Spain had so much precious metals they didn't know what to do with it all, and even caused prices to skyrocket in Western Europe because of it. However, they killed a bunch of people to get it. But wait, Spain wasn't finished yet. In 1535 through 1536, Pedro de Mendoza went south to present-day Buenos Aires in Argentina, founding a colony there. Meanwhile, Alvar Nunes Cabeza de Vaca explored the modern-day southwest United States, where he also traded with and even became a faith healer to various Native American tribes. In 1539, Francisco Vasquez de Coronado found the Grand Canyon. After that, his expedition journeyed through much of the modern-day southwest United States as well, and then up to the Great Plains of North America, searching for cities of gold that didn't exist. Around the same time Coronado was on the Great Plains, Hernando de Soto explored the modern-day southeastern United States. By 1650, Spain had conquered most of North and South America, despite the fact that millions of Native Americans were already there. Tragically, these explorers brought European diseases with them that Native Americans were not immune to. It's now estimated that between 20 and 100 million natives may have been killed as a result of the diseases which swept through North and South America. In 1524, a Florentine explorer sailing for France named Giovanni da Verrazzano sailed up the east coast of North America from Florida all the way up to modern New Brunswick. He described North America as, quote, densely populated. By the 1600s, however, it's possible 95% of Native Americans were gone, dying from diseases like smallpox. It was very post-apocalyptic. As Jack O'Brien and Elford Alley from Crack.com cleverly pointed out, quote, using your history books to understand what America was like in the 100 years after Columbus landed there is like trying to understand what modern-day Manhattan is like based on the post-apocalyptic scenes from I Am Legend, unquote. 10 years after Verrazzano sailed for France, Jacques Cartier also sailed for France, exploring the St. Lawrence River as far as modern-day Montreal. In the 1560s, two French explorers, Jean Riboud and René de Laudonnière, explored Florida, but soon the Spanish would kick the French north. From that point on, the French concentrated their exploration to the north and west. In 1608, Samuel de Champlain built a fort at modern-day Quebec and explored modern-day Nova Scotia south to modern-day Cape Cod. Sorry I keep saying modern day, but I have to be accurate here. Those who sailed for New France didn't get the precious metals Spain did, but they did get wealth through the fur trade. England also sent explorers. In 1497, John Cabot sailed for England and explored modern-day Newfoundland. Wait, Newfoundland is no longer Newfoundland because Leif Erikson found it 500 years prior, but I digress. It wasn't until the mid-1500s that England sent more explorers, mainly to establish a presence in North America and find a magical Northwest Passage, or a water route that went through the continent. While the English weren't exceptionally notable for exploration compared to Spain, Portugal, and France, they knew how to colonize, which I will get to in a future video. The Dutch also got in on the exploration action. In 1609, Henry Hudson led an expedition to North America for the Dutch East India Company, claiming areas along the Hudson River. Yeah, he named it after himself. Go figure. As far as modern-day Albany, New York. He also explored further north at the Hudson Bay, which of course was named after him, and that's where he was abandoned by his crew who mutinied. By 1615, other Dutch companies had laid claims between New France in the north and Virginia in the south, where the British had laid claims. By the 1600s, more and more explorers were looking to stay in the Americas instead of claiming and conquering and then heading back to Europe. The exploration there would continue for centuries, but less on such a wide scale. With European countries now dominating the two continents and nearly all of the Native Americans wiped out, this exploration is one of the most significant developments in human history, though it is something that we don't know a whole lot about. All of these American explorers caused what is now referred to as the Age of Discovery, and it was this period that basically created our modern era. The end.